Modding Fallout New Vegas has never been easier than it is right now, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can take a completely unmodded version of that game and add hundreds if not thousands of mods using the collection feature of the Vortex mod manager. This video is primarily aimed at complete beginners who have never modded Fallout New Vegas and indeed may never have modded any game before this. And for that reason, I will be starting with what you will need to do before you even begin the modding process. If you already know that, timestamps are in the description down below. You can skip ahead to where we begin installing the mods. But for everyone else, there are a number of things that you're going to need to do before you start modding. The first thing you're going to need is quite obviously a copy of the game, but it needs to be on Steam or GOG. Unfortunately, if you have it on the Microsoft Store, it's really hard to mod. In fact, there are several basically essential mods that will not work on that version of the game, so it has to be Steam or GOG. In addition to that, it needs to be the full game with all of the DLC, or as it's otherwise known, the Ultimate Edition. This is because several of the mods that I will be showing you to install do require it. An important side note here is that you should not install the game in the standard Windows program files folder. And that's because Windows tends to be a lot more restrictive as to what you can and cannot do inside that folder. And we're going to be changing a lot of things. It will be a lot easier if your game is installed somewhere else, either in a different folder, or in my case, I prefer to actually use a separate drive. The second requirement is a simple one. You need to run the game at least once before you start modding it. Just go along to wherever you run the game from, click play. It will open up this launcher. Go along to the options and check everything's okay, because often it isn't. My resolution has not been set correctly, so I'm going to set that. Click OK, and then play. This will run the game once. The reason for this is it sets all the ini files that you're going to need, and we just need to do that before we start the modding process. Next, you're going to need an account on Nexus Mods. This is where most of the mods and all of the collections are going to be downloaded from. And whilst there is a premium option that you need to pay for, you do not need that for this guide. The free account is just fine. Everything will work. It's just the premium account gives you an ad-free experience, faster downloads, and it will automate a lot of the downloading for you. But as I've said, the guide will work with the free account. And the last thing we're going to need before we start modding the game is a mod manager. And for this video, I'm going to be using Nexus Mod's very own Vortex mod manager, partly because it's very beginner friendly and does a lot of the work for you, but mostly because it uses collections, which essentially does a lot more of the work for you and makes the modding process pretty trivially easy. If you go to the Nexus Mods page, click on Support, and go down to where it says Install Vortex, this will take you to a page where you can download the latest version and install this program. So now that we've got everything that we need, let's get started. And we're going to begin by opening Vortex. Then we need to log into Nexus Mods by clicking on the red icon to log in. This will open up our browser, and hopefully, if you've set up the account on Nexus Mods, it will immediately ask you to authorize Vortex. Click that, then click Continue, and you are now logged in. Next, go along to where it says Games on the left-hand side and click there. It will give you a list of all of the games that can be managed with Vortex. The easiest thing to do is simply where it says Search for a game, type in New Vegas, spell it correctly, and hopefully it will have detected where you have New Vegas installed. So when you click Manage, everything will automatically happen for you. If for some reason Vortex has not discovered where your game is installed, you may get a message like this, Game Not Discovered, and if you click Continue, it will let you choose the location in Windows Explorer. Once managed, if you click the icon in the top right corner for the game, you will see this little panel open up, giving you some useful details and allowing you to change the location where the game is actually installed at a later date if you need to. And I would highly recommend that you create a new profile for this modded version of the game by going to the top of the left-hand side here, clicking Profiles. If you cannot see the Profiles option here on the left, go to Settings, go to Interface, and then go down under Advanced where it says Enable Profile Management and click here to make sure you've got the green tick. That will make profiles appear for you. And from here, go to where it says Add Fallout New Vegas Profile and click this button. It will ask you for a name. I'm going to just call this Modded for now. You can also decide if you want this profile to have its own game settings and its own save games. As a general rule, I think this is a good idea. This means you can switch between profiles and only see saves that are compatible with that profile. You can also add a description if you want. I'm going to hit save, and I'm now going to enable this. This switches profiles. The old profile, I'm never going to install any mods to, so I'll always be able to switch back to what we call a vanilla game. In fact, I'm going to change the name of this. I'm going to go to this drop-down menu. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to hit Edit, and I'm going to change this to Vanilla. And I may even put Unmodded just as a reminder, and then save. So I've now got two profiles. My modded profile, the one I'll be working on for the rest of this video, and the vanilla if I wish to go back to how it used to be. And we have one last thing to do before we start modding our game, and that is to tweak one of the settings. If you go along to where it says Settings on the left-hand side and click it, and then go across to the Workarounds tab, you need to check if Archive Invalidation is checked. Where it says BSA Redirection, this needs to be checked on green. I'm going to show you what it does, though, before I click it. If I go to Mods, this is the tab that shows you all the mods I have installed for the game. Currently, none. I'll go to Settings, where Workarounds, and then Archive Invalidation, BSA Redirection. I'm going to click there. You'll notice something happened on Mods. I'm going to click there now, and I now have Vortex Archive Invalidation. That is a mod Vortex has created for you. Don't worry about it right now, but that is essential. Next, we go to the bell icon in the top right and we click on it, and we're looking for a message that says loose files may not get loaded. Ignore any of the other messages for now. Those are going to be fixed as we start modding. And I'm going to click Fix. This will sort out that for me. I can close that. And that's basically it. You're now ready to start modding your game. There is one last setting I will mention for people who use the Chrome browser. You may have an issue downloading some things from Nexus. If so, you can go along to Settings, go to Download tab, and there is an option all the way down here where it says Fix Nexus mod links in Chrome, only required for Chrome, requires Chrome to be closed. If you close Chrome and hit Fix Now, it should handle any problems you've got with that browser. So we now have a fresh installation of the game, preferably not in the program files folder. We have Vortex installed and managing Fallout New Vegas. And if I go along to the mods panel, we have one mod already installed, Vortex Archive Invalidation, because in Settings, we went to Workarounds and we made sure BSA Redirection was selected. If we go to the plugin section, you will have Dead Money, Gunrunner's Arsenal, Honest Hearts, Lonesome Road, and Old World Blues enabled. If you have the Classic Pack, Mercenary Pack, Tribal Pack, or Caravan Pack, you can enable those. They're just starter equipment packs. They give you a little bit of gear at the start of the game. They're not overpowered at all. To be honest, you'll barely notice them, so you can use these without any fear of, changing the pacing of the game or anything. And you've probably already noticed that you still have a couple of bell icon notifications. Don't worry about these. One is telling you that you don't have the script extender installed and it highly recommends it. We are going to be installing that. And the other one tells you that your game is currently unpatched. Don't worry, we will be patching it. So these warnings will go away when we install our first collection. And that is what we're going to do right now. We're going to install the stable New Vegas collection. This collection includes a lot of essential and near essential mods that will provide bug fixes that will make the game a lot more stable, and I do mean a lot more stable. It will also improve performance massively, so you'll get better frame rate, less stutters, and overall it provides a solid base from which to further mod your game. Even by itself, it will improve the experience. The game will crash less. It will just perform better. And installing all of these mods using a collection is extremely easy. All you need to do is go along to the Nexus page for that collection, and I will leave a link to this collection in the description down below, and then go to the button at the top right where it says Add Collection and simply click it. If this is your first collection, you will get a pop-up telling you that you absolutely need Vortex, and you can stop this showing up each time by clicking Don't Show Again before you click Continue. The collection will then open Vortex if it isn't already open, and it will start the installation process. The pop-up will then tell you where it's going to install the collection. If you click here, you get options on your profiles. You can even create a new profile, but of course, I've already got a modded profile ready for this, so this is where I want to install it. And I'm going to leave this checked so that it installs the mods during the download phase. I then have two buttons, one for doing this later or one for doing it now. I'm obviously just going to do this right now. At this point, you may get a pop-up telling you that you've got a game version mismatch. Do not worry about this. I know it looks a little scary, but there are a couple of reasons this might happen, and it doesn't matter which reason, because in this collection is a mod that patches your executable and makes it the correct version regardless. So ignore this if you get it. And as I'm a premium user, it will simply start downloading each of the mods one at a time until it's finished, and then it will install them. At this point, if you are a free user over on Nexus, you will need to download all of the mods yourself manually, but don't worry, Vortex walks you through this process. It's really very easy. You will get a pop-up for each mod. You will click where it says download manually and you'll be redirected to the page itself. From there, just click download again, and after a few seconds, the mod will start downloading. This will repeat for each mod. It takes a little time for each one. The advantage of being a premium user is you don't need to sit there and click the pop-ups. It will just do all of the downloading for you, so you can go off and make a cup of coffee or something. But the installation process, all of the tweaks, everything else, the setup, that's all done by Vortex regardless of whether you are a premium user or a free user. And once it's finished, you will get this pop-up telling you that the installation is complete. Just click Done, and you're for the most part done. As I said, there's a couple of things left to do. The first and most important thing is we need to patch our game using the 4GB patcher, and the easiest way to do this is to go along to where it says Mods, go along the top to where it says Open, and then click the drop-down menu and open the Game folder. This is where the game is installed, and it will open up Windows Explorer. You want to scroll down until you find a file called fnv patch.exe. Don't worry if it doesn't say .exe, it probably means you are hiding file extensions. If it says fnv patch, that is it. Double click it to run it. It will then say that it's patched. If you've already patched it, it will tell you this is already patched. Press any key to continue and it closes it. You can then close the Windows Explorer, and that's it. You have now patched your game. It's as simple as that. If you're running the GOG version of the game, you technically don't need the 4GB patcher because that version of the game is already patched. However, I still recommend running the patcher because it also makes it so that the game will run the script extender automatically for you. And don't worry if you don't know what that is at the moment, it is critically important, so run the patcher anyway. Now I'm going to go back to the collections panel, and the second thing that we're going to need to do is we need to create our own mod. Believe it or not, we're going to fix the game's ESMs. Do not worry, this is trivially easy. Go back to mods and scroll down until you see Ultimate Edition ESM Fixes Remastered and the same name but with -fixed ESMs. This mod here is actually not created yet. It's a placeholder that I made, but you are going to fill it. Now, before we start, we're just going to disable it by clicking here. This isn't strictly speaking necessary, but it does help prevent confusion with Vortex. So, collection incomplete. I'm just going to ignore that for now. Of course, the collection is incomplete. This is required. Next, what you need to do is right-click on this disabled mod and go to where it says Open in File Manager. Click there to open Windows Explorer. As you can see, this is empty except for a text file that basically tells you it's a placeholder. Don't worry about this. Go along to the top and see where it says Bundled Ultimate Edition ESM Fixes Remastered, yada yada yada. Right-click and copy address as text. You can then close this. We're going to use that when we run the tool. Now, the tool we're running is Ultimate Edition ESM Fixes Remastered. This is already installed, and you can actually have this tool appear here if you want, and that's how I recommend doing it. If you go to Dashboard and go down to where it says Tools and then Enable Toolbar. You may already have that enabled, and as you can see, we now have the tool there. If for some reason you do this and the tool doesn't appear, don't worry, there are other ways of running this. You can open in File Manager for this one, go into this folder and just run the installer if you want. That will work just as well as clicking here. I'm going to click here. Do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? Yes. And you will get this installer. It should have found Fallout New Vegas for you. If it hasn't, you will need to browse and find it yourself, but it really should. Left click where it says Mod Folder, then right click and paste. This is the thing we copied earlier. Then you click Install. It takes a few seconds. Click Exit. And that mod has now been created. If I once again right-click and then open in File Manager, you will now see there are a lot of ESM files. I'm going to enable this by clicking here once again. And then I want to enable all. It has now fixed all of the ESMs. And that's it. Basically, all that's left to do now is just make sure the game is fine. You can run it from up here in the top left by clicking the play icon. Make sure it gets in game without any issues. And if you have a save, you could load it, run around, and just make sure there are no issues. I wouldn't actually expect any. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that is the hard part over. I know your game doesn't look that much different, but it is a lot more stable, it performs better, and it is ready for all the great mods you might want. And honestly, from this point onwards, we're going to install a lot of mods, but it's going to be so much easier than all of the previous steps. For the rest of this video, I'm going to show you a few more collections that will overhaul different aspects of this game. But you should understand that these are optional. You can choose which of these collections you install. And don't worry, if you try a collection out and decide it's not really for you, you can disable it very, very easily. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well. Now, one of the big attractions to modding an old game like this is the ability to make it look a little nicer, a little more up to date and modern. And that's where my New Vegas Remaster collection comes in. It overhauls things like the lighting, the textures, and especially the distant terrain. I did make a standalone video where I showcased the sort of changes this collection includes, so if you want to check that out, I will leave a link down below. This collection does require that you have run the 4GB patcher if you are on Steam, although, as I've already said, I highly recommend that you run it even if you're on GOG. It does also require that you've enabled archive invalidation from settings, workarounds. You need to make sure BSA redirection is checked. And as a double check, let's just go back to mods, scroll down until we see Vortex archive invalidation, and make sure that is enabled. I also highly recommend that you run the game in borderless windowed mode. Don't worry about how to do that if you've installed the stable New Vegas collection. That has already been handled for you. Oh, and before you download this mod, please understand it is enormous. It's going to take some time to download. It contains a lot of very big mods and includes pre-generated distant terrain. So it is going to take some time. However, the process itself is really simple. Once again, just go along to the page, I'll leave a link down below, and hit Add Collection. This will open up Vortex if you don't have it already opened, and it will start downloading the collection. Again, this initial step will be longer than for, say, the stable New Vegas collection, because it is large in its own right. Once again, you will get this pop-up. Make sure it's installing the collection to the correct profile. I would highly recommend you have install mods during the collection downloads on and then hit install now. If you get a pop-up telling you there's a game version mismatch, do not worry about it. Vortex is just a little confused as to the version of the game you are using because you have almost certainly patched it. And Vortex will now start downloading and installing all of those mods. Now, if you are a free user, once again, you are going to have to click on a pop-up for each and every mod to download manually. That will take you to the page. You then click on the button again. It will take, a lot more clicks for you. It does, however, mean premium users can now leave, go off, go for a walk, whereas you, if you're a free user, will need to sit there and occasionally click a pop-up. So grab yourself some snacks, put on a video, and just watch something whilst doing this. And once the process is done, simply click Done, and that is basically it. Of course, I do recommend you run the game now, make sure you can get into game, and of course, if you've got a save that you can load it up and go and check everything out. Next, I'm going to show you two collections, but you are only going to install one. Why? Well, it's because these collections essentially do the same thing, just with a different flavor, a different style. These collections overhaul the user interface. Fallout New Vegas user interface is a little rough. Both of these collections will make it a lot more pleasant, but one of them, the Vanilla UI Plus collection, keeps the vanilla feel, whereas the other, the Darnified UI collection, changes the overall look and feel. It makes the fonts a lot smaller, it has more information on screen at once, and for a lot of us is a much better experience. Which is right for you is going to come down to you. I have made a video that shows the differences. I will put a link to that down below. You can check it out and decide which is for you. But I'm going to show you installing both of them so that I can also demonstrate how easy it is to switch between collections. So I'm going to download the first collection, the Vanilla UI Plus collection. Once again, hit Add Collection. It switches to Vortex. This pop-up comes. Make sure you've got the profile selected. Install now. Again, just going to ignore this pop-up. Vortex is very confused by the executable, and then hit Continue. This is a relatively small collection compared to the last one, so it won't take long at all. And once in game, I can just quickly check the various user interface elements, the inventory, I can see the extra information, I can check the main menu, mod configuration menu. This is pretty important. And of course, crafting and trading, and very importantly, dialogue. And once I've got a feel for it, I want to try out the other collection. But before I do that, I need to disable this one. Basically, remove all of those mods I just installed. And this is how easy it is. You simply go along to where it says enabled, click on it. You can apply to recommended mods if there are recommended optional mods with the collection. In this case, there weren't, but I'll check it anyway. And then just disable. It will turn all of those mods off, and I will now be back to a pure vanilla unmodded user interface. I could check in game now, but I'm actually going to go straight to the Darnified UI collection and do the exact same thing. Add collection. Same thing. Make sure I'm doing it to the correct profile. Install now. Ignore this warning. And this one again is a quick collection. Click done and then get into game. Once again, back in game. Let's check all of the various menus. As you can see, with this collection, there are way more items visible at once because the font is smaller. That is definitely not going to be for everyone. I happen to love this, but as I said, you have to choose what is best for you. I'm going to check various other things. Mod configuration menu, again. You will probably have noticed in both of these collections, the heads-up display has disappeared. You can almost certainly see that. It will return as and when you need it. If you take a weapon out, as you can see, certain elements appear. There is also a key, I, that will switch it back on and off. And in fact, there are a lot of other options for the heads-up display now. But I will let you discover that. The important thing is, we now have 2 complete overhauls of the user interface. And of course, I can change back just as easily. Just go along to where it says enabled for the Darnified UI collection, click, apply to recommended mods, disable, and then enable the vanilla UI Plus collection. It really is that simple. You probably don't need to do that. Most people take one look at both options and know which one they want. You can just install the collection that you want. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to disable a collection and switch between different options. And finally, I'm going to show you the gameplay and quality of life tweaks collection. Again, some of you might not even want to try this one. Perhaps you're new to the game, and although you wanted to make it more stable and look a little nicer, you really weren't looking for a very different experience, so you could skip this one. What this one does is it adds quite a few gameplay elements that you might expect in more modern titles. The ability to sprint, the ability to throw grenades via a hotkey rather than having to constantly switch weapons. Quick looting, the sort of looting you get in Fallout 4, and a bunch of other things. The companion wheel, for example, is really useful. I've made an entire video where I showcase a lot of the things that are there. You can go and watch that if you want to know more. Just ignore the part about installation, because I've actually made the installation a lot simpler. You don't need to apply the tweaks yourself anymore. It really is very, very easy to install now. It is simply go along to Add Collection, click it, wait for Vortex to do its thing once again, install now, ignore the pop-up, continue, and then let it download. Small collection again, won't take long. And in-game, there you go, quick loot menu, sprinting, grenade hotkey, night vision, plenty of other things. Check out the full video if you want to know more. Link down in the description. And that is basically it, ladies and gentlemen. You now have over 150 mods installed, which by modern standards is lightly modded. and you've got a good base from which to start. There are tons more mods out there. We haven't even talked about content mods, quest mods. There are so many great quest mods for Fallout New Vegas. There's tons of stuff for you to discover. You've got so much ahead of you if you decide to stick with modding this game. Now, I'm actually going to make a follow-up video to this one where I discuss installing individual mods on top of collections like these, and indeed other things like updating collections, because occasionally one of your collections will have a new version come out. I will show you how to update to the latest version. You're more than welcome to join me for that video, and I look forward to seeing you there. But until then, remember, as always, have fun.